morning, everybody. So I just want to say I'm very excited to be here representing Dynepic, and I want to thank the MGMWERX team for having us here and letting us have the opportunity to show you some of the stuff we're working on. I can tell you for sure it's going to be a very exciting show. There's some really, really cool technology you're going to see this morning. So my name is Christina Padron. I'm from Dynepic. I'm the director of DoD programs at Dynepic, and I'm going to be talking to you about our MOTAR platform. MOTAR is a white label of our DX commercial platform. So just a little bit about Dynepic. We are a service-disabled veteran and woman-founded tech company. We have headquarters in Charleston, South Carolina, as well as Huntington Beach, California. We are backed by venture capital funding. And we like to say we really like to solve the hard problems. We like to say that we like to invent the future. And we operate both commercial and military platforms. So the impetus for the DX platform, and specifically the MOTAR platform on the Air Force side, there was a few different challenges, basically, that we're trying to solve here. First of all, let me take a step back and see how many of you are familiar with augmented and virtual reality. Can I see a show of hands of people that have tried? Okay, so most people in the room at least have some exposure to it. So, quick kind of super high-level definitions. Augmented reality is content is overlaid on the real world, right? So you can still see the real world, but it's being enhanced, it's being augmented. Virtual reality is the fully immersive, generally, you're completely in a whole different world. And then mixed reality is a little bit in between. So I'm going to be using the term XR for extended reality to kind of cover all of it. So you'll see the term XR throughout this. So hopefully that's all, most people in here are somewhat familiar with that. So since you have some experience, I'm assuming then you've probably seen some either software applications that are augmented or virtual reality, maybe some hardware that goes with the software, maybe some haptic gloves, different peripherals, and then of course the probably headsets or tablets or different hardware to be able to implement that software. So right now, because this technology is so new, there aren't really standards for how to implement that, right? So the user experience is probably pretty different across those. The way that you log in, right, the security behind it is probably very different, in a lot of cases non-existent yet because it's a prototype. So there's just a lot of, as I think the Air Force is starting to explore some of these technologies, there's a lot of maybe the backbone infrastructure that's not quite there yet. So that's the part that we're trying to solve. So there's the, again, user experience is a little bit different, that security infrastructure to make sure that, all of the data is secure as airmen are using these technologies. And then the other thing is, I'm sure many of you have experience with learning management systems. They're awesome, but they're not really optimized for these XR immersive technologies, right? So again, another thing that we're trying to solve. So basically, the MOTAR platform provides the secure infrastructure backbone. It has open APIs and SDKs to integrate in all of these wonderful technologies and really be able to provide the seamless user experience for airmen as they're taking advantage of all of these different wonderful technologies, the content that's there. So we don't develop any training content on our platform. We really want to be kind of that backbone that provides that infrastructure to integrate everything together, right, and make it a seamless experience. So with that, I'm going to play a quick overview video.
Extended reality is revolutionizing how we train, learn, and work. Yet AR/VR training tools are fragmented across many vendors, each with their own login and dashboards, making these training experiences hard to manage. Further complicating this, current learning management systems lack the proper infrastructure for frictionless, student-centered learning across the XR training technologies. Until today. Dynepic's DX platform brings together the best immersive apps, tech, and XR training tools in a secure device and vendor-agnostic platform. DX powers these previously siloed tools with a single login and consolidated course creation and management with live student performance dashboards. Dynepic's DX platform was selected over 120 other vendors in the MGMWERX Mixed Reality Challenge. White-labeled as MOTAR in the USAF, it provides a holistic solution for the rapid and secure development, distribution, and delivery of immersive applications and AR/VR training across the United States Air Force. Using MOTAR, developers activate their apps in Studio. Instructors use the MOTAR Course Creator to add AR/VR training content released on the platform with other multimedia assets to deliver cutting-edge training. From MOTAR, students use a gamified student interface to launch multi-vendor XR course content across devices. As the students train, instructors can use MOTAR to monitor a live view of each student's performance metrics as they complete the course for true student-centered learning. Join current Air Force customers like AETC Maintenance Training Next using MOTAR to securely demonstrate the future of maintenance training courses using AR/VR content. Air Force, it is time to level up your immersive training capability with MOTAR.
So just to reiterate, basically the challenge that we're solving here is that you have multiple XR products. And when we say, again, XR product is not just a software application, right? The ecosystem of this immersive technology, when it's all starting to come together now, is going to have software products, it's going to have hardware products, it's going to have peripherals, it's going to have, joysticks and haptic gloves and haptic body suits, all kinds of things, right? And all these things will need to work together seamlessly to really be able to be useful. So right now, for each of these things, you have to learn how it works. Again, each has its own security, behind it and those kinds of things. So what we're doing now is providing one access point where you can access all of those things. So so there's a few different kind of big value propositions, I think, to this platform. So one is the discovery and distribution of the software and also really some of these other products. So we have a marketplace, and I'm going to go into some more details about different areas of the platform. But the idea is that, right now I know it's kind of tough for the Air Force to even find out what's out there. I mean, events like this are very helpful to even be introduced to different types of technologies. With the MOTAR platform, it'll be you go to one place, just like you go to the App Store, Amazon, something like that. You're going to go to one place, MOTAR, you're going to be able to discover all different types of technologies, and you'll really be able to choose which ones are most appropriate for your training, right? And that's it. It'll be a quick process. So that's a big part of it, and then the LMS side for the training is another big part of it as well. We actually, Dynepic started in the child's play area on the commercial side. So when I talk about security, we basically started right at the hardest challenge, right? Like making sure that the infrastructure was secure enough for children. The way that we came into the Air Force, and I should say our CEO, Chris Awatri, is an Air Force Academy grad. She spent time in the Air Force, so this is obviously very familiar for her. But the way that we came into the Air Force is actually one of the MGMWERX challenges. There was a mixed reality platform challenge in January of 2019. She actually had a former colleague of hers invite her to come to that, saying that he thought that the platform that she already had was probably a really good fit, at least a really good start, right, to what the Air Force needed. And then we ended up winning that challenge. And so that's what kind of has set off the work that we've been doing in the Air Force. So like I said before, we are not creating the content. So what we are doing on the platform is trying to have these sets of services that are platform-wide that support not only the airmen and the instructors, students, who all different types of users from the Air Force. But the other thing is really supporting the vendors that are hosting their technology on the platform as well. So some of the things are, we have an XR optimized LMS and LRS. We have 360 video capability for across the platform. We have chat capability, communities. We have the open APIs and SDKs with full software documentation to give you instructions on how to use those, things like that. So this shows kind of the set of services again. We also have a chat functionality, so instructors can be sending messages to an entire class. Direct messages are available too. All different types of things. Admin functionality, obviously. And then we actually recently were one of the winners of the Recruiting Reimagined AFWERX Challenge as well. So we'll be adding a service to the platform to support Air Force recruiting as well. We're really excited about that too. So this shows kind of some of the vendors that are already integrated in with the platform. It's not meant to be just training. It's meant to be really any application that could be used by the Air Force, including operational applications as well. So this just shows some of the other types of tools that might be integrated in the future. So there's 4 main areas to the platform. The studio section is where the third-party vendors actually do the integration. So this is where the APIs and SDKs come into play. There's a sandbox environment in Studio. So one thing that we've heard from a lot of the XR companies is that they're concerned that other XR companies would have access to their IP, right, if they're all integrated on this platform. The way that we make sure that doesn't happen is that they actually don't have access to the training side of it. But of course, they still need to be able to test and make sure that it's working as they expect, right? So in the Studio side, we actually have a sandbox environment where you can fully test with sandbox users that are made up in there. You're actually able to fully test it before you push it to production, where it would show up on the training side for the Air Force. Then the training side is where instructors can come in. They can create courses made out of lessons from different vendor content, right? So it could be that, I know a lot of times right now, companies, you might know of one VR application, and so you're trying to see, what content from your course makes sense in VR, or can you just shove all of it into VR? What this will allow you to do, because that's not the right answer, actually, for most things, right? VR is not perfect for everything. It's really good for some things. It's not good for everything. So what this will allow you to do is say, this skill that I'm trying to teach with this lesson is much better served in augmented reality, whereas this skill over here is much better in VR. Well, now what you can do is say, I'm going to put my course together. The first lesson is going to be a VR scenario from this company's tool. And then this one over here is going to be an augmented reality. And maybe this one is going to be a quiz, and then there's going to be a video, right? I mean, you basically get to curate this course out of all different types of content. And on the student side, it's going to be a seamless experience. There's a single sign-on so they're going to sign into Motar, and they're just going to start launching lessons. It will tell them, this is something that you would launch into a VR headset. This is something that'll be launched onto a tablet. It gives them the information they need. But from their perspective, they don't know that they're logging into things from 6 different companies' tools, right? To them, it's just one course they're taking, and they're just sending it out to different types of hardware. So that, I think, to me, is a very powerful thing, to be able to basically optimize your course, optimize the use of this XR technology to really take advantage of the different types of technology and how they are best served in terms of the knowledge, skills, and abilities you're trying to teach. So then the portal is where the airmen actually come in. This is kind of your homepage, if you will. This is where your most recently viewed applications are there. You can do some shortcuts, things like that. And then admin, of course, is where user permissions and those types of things are set. So I won't go into too much detail. I do have a demo at the table in the little kind of demonstration area that they have set up around the corner. So I can definitely go into more detail if you're interested. But this kind of shows some of the screens. So this is a portal here. This is where your communities are there as well. You can access those. Studio, like I said, so we have this shows, I know you can't see the details, but there's a set of different APIs and SDKs for the different things that you'd want to hook into. For example, authentication has an API. User profile has an API, those types of things. And then, like I said before, sandbox environment, test it out, then move it to production, and that's when it's live. So for the training side of it, this is kind of the overall flow. So in Studio, the applications are integrated in. And what I should say too is it's not just third-party companies, right, that have XR applications. I personally know airmen who are actually building applications in Unity and Unreal, and really who are, able to build the exact thing that they know their airmen need. So this is something where airmen absolutely can come in and create their own application, right, and be able to distribute that as well. And that's happening now. So once that the integration happens in Studio, then the course, like I said, is put together by course managers or lead instructors. They create that. There's levels there. There's a hierarchy. Quizzes are able to be very quickly created just through the Motar platform, but also quizzes can be taken in, for example, if you have a VR scenario that has a quiz in it, that can be taken. And then the data, through the APIs, the data is all pulled back to the learning management system, most of it in XAPI format, for those of you who are familiar with that. And you're able to see basically how they did on quizzes, things like that. The student launches it, like I said, so we have those interfaces as well. And then there's a real-time live dashboard for instructors. So instructors get a snapshot at any given time of the progress as well as the performance of each of their students. We also have there's a leaderboard for some kind of gamified elements to keep people engaged and those kinds of things as well. So this is the student, like what they see basically when they first come in. So these are showing different courses they have. There's a scheduling part of it so they can see what needs to be done by when. This is the launch screen for the students. So the number of stars is showing how well they performed on it. And then there's a leaderboard at the top to show how they're doing compared to their peers. And then there's indication for each of the lessons, like I said, of what you can launch it out to. So sometimes it could be either desktop or a VR headset. There might be options, so it lets them know that. This is the real-time learning dashboard for the instructors. So they're getting, you can see the little rectangles up here. Each of those rectangles represents one lesson. So green indicates, they passed it, they're good to go. Red is they're not doing that great. Yellow is somewhere in between. Gray is they haven't done it yet. So you can see how the instructor very quickly can kind of get the snapshot of how well the class is progressing through and also how well they're doing. And then the instructor can dig in to any one of those lessons and be able to see the details of the performance. How did they do on a quiz? What are the answers they said on the quiz? Was it right or not? All of those types of things. This is the course creator part of it. So I think I've gone through that. I can show that around the corner as well. And then, so there's a couple different views the instructors have. So as I already mentioned, they can go through in terms of the course, the way that the course is structured. They can see how the student has done. We also have another view we call the student journey map. So for some of these, I think immersive technologies, it's not necessarily as important anymore for them to very clearly go chronologically through the material. I think sometimes people are finding that having a format where they can kind of explore a little bit. Maybe they want to try out, lesson 2 instead of completing all of the lesson 1, subcomponents. Maybe they want to go back and retake a lesson. So if that is something that they're able to do, the student journey map actually shows the instructor the chronological journey that the student actually went through. So, they completed lesson 1, then they went to lesson 2, but then they went back to lesson 1.1. And so, a lot of insight can be gained by how they chose to go through the material as well. This just shows some of the features. Like I said, there's a chat capability. It's similar to Slack for those of you who've used that. And then a video capability as well. So this is normal videos, it's 360 videos, and these can be pulled into content as well. So it's something that can be shared across the platform. So we actually also just recently learned that we are one of the winners of the AFWERX Accelerating Pilots to Combat Ready Aviators Challenge as well. So through that, what we're going to be able to do is bring 15 different companies that we already have who've committed, who've signed letters of support. They're each going to integrate onto the platform. They're going to be able to be distributed through the platform. They're going to have some demonstration content. So this is really going to help us to kind of build out that initial marketplace of different companies, tools that are already in the ecosystem, and really start to build this kind of MOTAR ecosystem up to help the Air Force understand really what's out there and be able to do some exploring on that. So that we're also extremely excited about. Finally, you might say, this all sounds great. Has anybody really tried it, right? Is that something that, has anybody, tested it out? Well, the Maintenance Training Next program has tested it out, actually. So we are on a phase 3 SBIR contract, for those of you who are familiar with that program, with them. And through that, we had 4 different vendors, who you can see here, have their content integrated in. They did a full crew chief fundamentals course. So the Maintenance Training Next instructors, the SMEs there, worked with these companies to create all of the content they needed. There was, an AR mobile app. There was a fully immersive VR headset app, some AI, and to have some adaptive learning, virtual instructors, and then another VR provider. So kind of a nice, well-rounded group of content. So the course they created had 4 levels. It had 9 different types of media. It had 173 total training modules. I believe it was about 3 weeks to go through the full course. There were 2 classes that went through not at the same time. So one actually started kind of while the other one was in the middle of going through. And then 32 enrolled students who went through this course. So, it seems to have been quite successful. We're actually having discussions with AETC now about how we can expand the use of the MOTAR platform based on the results that they found here. We're also having some discussions with the AFL-CMC SIMS division about, they have a lightweight SIMS ecosystem, and they would like to use MOTAR as, again, kind of that secure infrastructure to bring in all of the great innovative technologies that they're finding through that program. Are there any questions?
So let me ask you this. With this platform, which AETC is already in the process of acquiring, how does that benefit Air University? Will it make it easier for them if they opt to use this platform? Will it make it easier for them to get it at Air University since AETC already owns it or already has it?
I believe so, yes. But even if not, I can help facilitate getting. So we absolutely, if you're interested in trying it out, we can set up accounts for you to be able to try it out and all of that. So please do come see me at the table, because I'd be happy to get you set up with the accounts to be able to try it out and explore around.
Good deal.